Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the Brooklyn Bazaar, and today we are here with one of New Orleans' finest. We are here with Eyehategod. Thank you so much, Mike, for being here.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. I mean, you guys play in New York City all the time. It's clearly a favorite for Eyehategod, right?
Of course, we love it. And we love this place. I mean, I used to live in Brooklyn for a few years, but yeah, good friends, good people.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. And it seems like every time you guys play here, it's always just a great time, whether it's a show like today with The Obsessed or Cro-Mags, you name it.
It's all good, man. It's all good. We fit in with both, any type of music, really. I mean, it fits all together. So.
Definitely. Now, obviously, your latest record is still the self-titled record, which came out in 2014.
Yep, that's the newest one.
Yep. So do you have like a conclusion on this overall record cycle?
We don't have a record cycle. We just put them out when we want to, you know. We're not one of those bands that tours and then writes an album and puts it out and then tours again. And we've been on tour since last December. And we've had about 3 weeks off in that whole time. We were going to take this month off to write and record. We recorded a demo, but we're going to trash it, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Just because it's a different band now. We're a four-piece now. Brian Patton, our other guitarist, is left to take care of his family, and I think that's not anything new now. People know that. But so now it's a new band, you know. And I was sick at the time when they recorded that, so a lot of it was written in the studio. I think they're going to rewrite a lot of stuff, but we're going to take September off and do some stuff, write and maybe record. But we got offered The Obsessed.
Can't turn down that.
No, and well, like I said, we've been on tour since December of 2017. So we were like, we've been on the road this long, and it's The Obsessed. So we got to do it. That's like bucket list for me, you know.
Definitely.
I've loved The Obsessed forever. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So we're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer for the new record, but I guarantee it'll be worth waiting for.
Yes, of course. It'll be an Eyehategod record, you know.
Well, it seems like Eyehategod's music has been like always experimental. You know what I mean? Like definitely do have a signature sound where I could tell it's your voice and everything like that. But does Eyehategod take a new approach to each record, or do you tend to like stick with a certain template?
It's funny you say that because most people say the total opposite. You know, they say like every album is an Eyehategod album, but I mean there's things that change because every album's just like a snapshot of that time. You know. But so I guess the experimentation would be just different studios, different riffs, different things like that, you know. There's nothing done on purpose to be like, let's be weird and do this. We've never done that, you know.
So things happen fairly organically.
Yeah, I mean, to me it's just like a AC/DC Ramones thing where they just, keep putting the same record out. It's that band. You know that band. And when people hear Eyehategod, they know it's Eyehategod, you know.
Well, a lot of people have
except for the bands that sound like us. So,
well, a lot of people have referred you into that sort of sludge metal category, and but that style in itself is just like as somebody who's seen you before, people are moshing to your music, people are smoking weed to your music.
Yeah.
It seems like it's not like a specific sort of thing you have to follow all the time.
I mean that label. It's just another label, sludge, whatever. I don't even know what it means, but. I mean, we were around before that label even happened, So I don't know, man. I mean, I think we fit in. Like we've toured with the Cro-Mags, total New York hardcore band, and then we toured with the Obsessed, and then we went out with, Black Label Society, So I mean, in Corrosion of Conformity. I mean, we can play with punk bands, hardcore bands, metal bands. We've had noise bands open for us. We've played with, experimental bands.
Yeah.
It all works for us because we're noisy, we're punk, and we're metal, so it all works.
Do you ever notice like a different reaction to your music depending on what audience you're playing in front of?
Well, I mean, it depends on the city and the people, really. I mean, most people are into it and, actually show they're into it by moving around and, expressing their feelings, which is what we like because we feed off that energy, too. But, there's some cities where they're just real polite and they listen and they clap, That's in a lot of European cities. It's like that, but
you're in the hardcore capital of the world. It's brutal honesty.
Believe me, I know. That's why I love the city. It's just cut and dry. There's no fucking bullshit,
Definitely.
If they hate it, they'll tell me, So I'm glad.
Definitely. So you mentioned
They
that.
won't hate it. They won't hate it.
Definitely. Now you mentioned that you had a demo, but you're gonna probably trash it. You ever worried that is gonna maybe on the future end up on like some B-side record and just be the biggest hit you guys ever have?
It probably will. I mean, not biggest hit. I doubt that really. No biggest hits here, but I mean, I'm sure it'll leak out eventually somewhere. I mean, we'll probably give it out before long. Who knows?
Yeah.
It was just like a few. There's no vocals on it. It's just instrumental right now. That's that demo. So, who knows?
Yeah. Now, being a vocalist, do you need to hear music in order to come up with a lyrical concept, or has there ever been a time like maybe like your own idea, your own personal experience ever determined the music?
I mean, both ways. I write all the time, no matter what. I'm constantly writing stuff on my phone, or since I now have a phone, but we're just scribbling stuff on pieces of paper, or whatever. I'm just bleeding because I was shaving a minute ago, but so both ways, man.
Yeah.
It just whatever comes. If I see something, I'll write it down, or I don't sit down and go, I'm gonna write a song and then do that.
Yeah.
I usually for the records, like I'll hear what they've written and I'll go through tons of fucking writings,
Okay.
and then that would be what I would put into those songs.
Yeah. Now, as a lot of people know, you also played in a couple of other projects such as Arson Anthem and Outlaw Order. Was the songwriting process or just being a vocalist a completely different mind frame at that time?
I mean, I guess mind frame, of course, because it was different periods of my life. Certain things change and things happen, but I mean, the writing process is always the same to me. Like I do the same for all those bands. It's just with different people, and maybe somebody has a suggestion that they will, or I get advice from someone, but for the most part, it's all the same.
Interesting. But like Arson Anthem, you're playing along Phil Anselmo. I mean, like, I'd imagine working with him has had to have maybe brought in some newer ideas in the future, right? That you can maybe bring into another project.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's Phil Anselmo. I mean, he's like the, probably the biggest metal singer that people know, that in the 90s, of course, obviously. So, I mean, yeah, when we did the Arson Anthem stuff, he definitely helped me. He's a little strict. He's got his ideas of where he wants things, So we play that and play around with all that, and see whatever we can come up with. And a lot of it's really abstract, and some of it's like really straightforward, but it all works.
Did it ever, like, working with him ever help you maybe bring in some newer stuff to Eyehategod, or has every project you've done like been mainly separate?
It's all separate. I mean, I don't really think of any of those bands as being flowing together. I mean, my words are my words. It's whatever. If I've written it, it's mine. So I could go with any band, really. Like Outlaw Order had more of like a crime theme. That was kind of the idea with it. Like every song was about criminal activity, And Arson Anthem was just a hardcore punk band, that me and Phil had been wanting to do forever, and we finally got to do it. And Eyehategod is Eyehategod,
And to me, like, you just said it perfectly. Eyehategod is Eyehategod. There's really like no way to really describe what you do.
I can't describe it. I mean, I just like the way it sounds. It's a bit of everything we listen to,
Yeah.
We listen to a lot of music,
Yeah.
I mean, we're all fans of tons of stuff, No matter, the labels don't matter to us, I get sick of people putting labels on everything,
Yeah, it almost seems like people, if there's like a label on something that people like, if oh, that's death metal, I don't like death metal, but it doesn't sound like death metal. It seems like it gives people a conclusion before they even listen to
There's
it.
so many genres supposedly now and different, it's just crazy. I mean, to me, it's all music. And I just like extreme underground music, but I also like commercial shit, like old Aerosmith or, stuff like that, old Judas Priest or whatever, So we like a lot of stuff. Jimmy listens to country, I mean, we have a big influence of tons of different stuff,
And that's good that you kind of go into it with an open mind, because that has to help the songwriting process.
I mean, bands kind of have to do that, these bands, I'm sure they're out there that, I mean, when you're young, when I was like 15, I had a band called Teenage Waste. And, all we listened to was Black Flag, and Minor Threat. So of course, it was just simple hardcore, like that. But if bands listen to what they play, they usually don't come up with too many different ideas. They're going to stick with what they listen to, and that's, like I said, like a teenage thing, a young band thing.
Yeah.
But as you get older, you start going, man, why didn't I listen to this band a long time ago? What the fuck? They're great.
Yeah.
So we all do that, and constantly looking for new stuff. And YouTube's addictive now. That's like an addiction, because you keep going to that fucking wormhole,
It just leads you to one.
to millions of other things.
Yeah. Now, one question I was really curious about, being that Eyehategod is from New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans being the home of Phil Anselmo, as well as the home of Goat Whore and so many other bands, was there like a metal scene in New Orleans that kind of Eyehategod cut their teeth in, or were you a band that kind of had to go outside your city in order to get the name out there?
I mean, there was, as far as I know, as far as metal goes, there wasn't really much of anything. I mean, and like I said, nobody in New Orleans too. There was a club called Siberia, and that was just punk metal, like everything. There wasn't like labels for it all. So I mean, I grew up in the hardcore punk scene in New Orleans, so that's where I come from. But like Phil comes from, like, he was doing cover bands, like metal cover bands, which was a thing. I mean, that's a cool thing that he did. And then he joined Pantera, which was
Not a cover band.
no, not at all, and it evolved into something monstrous.
I know every other band's covering them.
Of course, yeah, it's one of those things, But I mean, yeah, there was all that going on. It was like, we listened to everything. I mean, I was walking around with a skinhead in a Black Flag shirt, listening to Black Sabbath, and Rush, and we didn't think anything of it. I'd wear a fucking Iron Maiden jacket and a Dead Kennedy shirt. I didn't think. I thought it was it all sounded good to me.
I agree with you. It's funny. I went to my first hardcore show when I was wearing an Avenged Sevenfold shirt, and I had one eyebrow raised over the other. But, like, I listened to, like, the Cro-Mags and Agnostic Front, and then I listened to, like, some more hardcore metal, whatever you call it, bands. And to me, they sound very aggressive. I never really understood why an Agnostic Front or a Sick of It All fan can't appreciate a band like Iron Maiden or Priest or anything like that.
I mean, nowadays it is starting to blend together a lot, I think more people are open-minded nowadays. I just heard the Casualties are touring with Goat Whore.
They are.
Which blows my mind, because that's like something that...
It's Goat Whore, Casualties,
Black Tusk,
and Gozu.
Never heard of them, but...
They're really good.
Are they?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's cool, though. That's great that they're mixing the crowds and stuff. In the 80s, when I was going to shows, as a fucking young kid, there would be fights between the long hairs and the fucking bald hardcore kids, There was always, like, you can't come to our show, and I never understood it, I just never got it. I was always friends with everybody, and I thought it was the same shit,
I liked your idea better than a couple of others.
Yeah.
And the final question I would like to ask you is, because Eyehategod's music has so much going on, I was curious to how do you know when a song is finished?
Well, that's mainly up to those guys, They write all the music. I might have a couple ideas. I'll go, maybe that should do that or something, but they're the finalizers on all that,
Okay.
So, I mean... We just know. You just know. If you write music, you just know when it's like time to stop.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Some things might go on too long, and then you kind of think about, wow, damn it, why didn't we, cut that sooner? But, you just try to figure it out and see what happens.
Totally got it. And before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. And,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, glad that you're feeling better and you're back on the road and everything. Just
Oh, yeah.
yeah, just. Obviously, you're doing this tour right now with The Obsessed. When can we be expecting some new Eyehategod, if you're allowed to say?
Next year, maybe? I don't want to say. I can't say, because then it'll be next year. I'll say next year. So I don't know. It took us 14 years to do a new record last time, but
It's definitely worth the wait.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
So, it'll happen. It'll happen. But the thing is, everybody begs us to do a new record, and then when we do it, they want to hear Sister Fucker or $30 Bag from, like, 3 albums ago,
Yeah.
It's like, no, nobody cares about the new stuff when we play live, so But I know I'm the same way, with the bands, so I get it.
Yeah, that's always why it's always the worst. Like I can't imagine. Like I feel like Journey could just play "Don't Stop Believing" and like as long as a set for you guys would be like on repeat, and everybody would be happy.
What's that band Europe? What's their hit?
Oh, this is the final countdown.
I saw them. They played at Hellfest in France, and that's their song. They did it twice.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, they did it. They opened with it and they ended with it.
The same way, like I know that some bands maybe like open up with like the first riff of the song and then end it.
I'm pretty sure they did. I was pretty wasted probably, but I'm pretty sure they did it twice because the crowd came running up to the stage. Like people that were just standing by the bar were like, "Final countdown," and they just started running towards the stage. All these like German dudes, it was fucking great.
Something out of Braveheart. Well,
Yeah, really.
yeah. But Mike, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, man.
Everybody, we are here with Mike of Eyehategod. Pick up the self-titled record if you haven't already and been sleeping under a rock for the past 4 years. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.
See you later.